Okay, so I am Sandman. This is my first video. So I thought I would cover basic patterning and tools you will need, choosing your medium, and let's see how it goes. Okay, so I built Doctor Strange. All of this is patterns. Nothing store-bought, because you can't just walk into Joann Fabric and say, hey, I need a Doctor Strange cape. Because the pattern won't be good, and it's going to look like crap. So to do your pattern, you're going to need to select about 1 billion photos. I went through and over 1,000 pictures is what I ended up downloading. I printed out a few because I just entered a contest and won. But I will show you what I ended up with. Let me get the good picture of the back of the cape. So I know I have one. I'll use this one. Okay, so this is what we went off of. You can see all the line work in here. That's actually individual patterns of fabric. So what we ended up doing was we took a whole space of the wall and we put paper up, just regular old news roll. You can go down to any newspaper and they'll give you what's called an end roll. It runs about $1.25 for about 20 pounds of paper. It's pretty good. So we put it up on the wall, drew it out and cut it out, and then transferred it to the fabric. I don't know if you can see the lines there. It takes some work, it takes some time. Probably went through it about 3 or 4 times. But at the end of it, you end up with something extremely well done. Now that works for sewing. If you're using plastics, which I have some right here, nothing like a good sheet of plastic to work for hard armor. Hard armor is a lot more difficult. I've made a few pieces. It's challenging if you use paper because the paper will not sit right. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen, but cardboard. Now, cardboard's very rigid, so it's hard to form. So if you take your cardboard and just simply roll it along a soft edge, hard edge, gotta get it in, roll it out, it becomes very pliable. You'll actually be able to form it a lot better, work with it, and get it into the shape that you need before you start. Now, I use 3 different kinds of tape to mark out where I'm at. Now, I'm currently working on Full Metal Alchemist. I'm doing Alphonse. This should be fun. I've got 2 months to do it in. So I started with my basic layout for the boot. Looks like a catastrophe, but it is actually layered. When you look at the reference photos, you see the tip of the toe, which I had to actually change my toe pattern. Best part about cardboard is it's cheap, most of the time free. Go to Walmart, tell them you need some boxes. Now, everything is a pain in the butt with this. You're going to be doing a lot of work, a lot of rework, redoing everything on a regular basis. Do it till you get it right. The best part about cardboard, it's free. Almost 10 bucks a pop. Now, it's not just good for doing armor, it is good for doing props. As you can see, Meliodas, 7 Deadly Sins, sword, very lightweight, easy to form, very handy, durable. It's not like foam, where if I did that, I would probably have cracked the paint and almost blew the thing apart. So back to the tape, because I got a little sidetracked. You can use it to mark out where your seams are, where you're going to connect parts at. Got stuff falling apart over here. So I use the black tape to mark out where I'm going to connect things. So just the basics, it's really easy to get started, a little more difficult to keep going sometimes. Get a little lost in what you're doing, start losing your lines if you're using the same colored tape. Now, this is my seam tape. Very noticeable. This is a cover tape. I will use this if I need to cover a seam, so it just goes away. Where I've got to connect two pieces of cardboard together, you can see it on the toes here. I haven't gotten to ready to cut out yet, but there's a seam right here. I use this as a connector just to hold it because it's duct tape. It's going to hold a lot better. So that's it for tape. You can also use clear packing tape. I always keep a roll. Now, tools you're going to need for forming. That's a pain when it comes to plastics because you're going to need 5 tools easy. I cheat. I've got a bandsaw, so I don't end up using a lot of this. Well, one of them. Okay, so I always keep a box with all my hot tools in here. Hot knife. Way easier than a razor blade. Runs about 14 bucks at Michael's. Great investment if you're going to do a lot of plastic works. I do a lot of plastic works. You're going to need a lot of blades because you will go through about 3 a project depending on what size you're doing. My next one, a plastic welder. They are the greatest thing ever. It helps you melt pieces together when you have to add to it. So for like the chest piece for Alphonse, I'll be using this a lot. Now, if you're not careful and you put too much pressure when it's hot, this will snap off. Be ready for that. It's about 600 degrees and it's coming flying at you. So be careful with this when you use it. Be ready to jump. Don't do it on carpet. Wire brush. Very good to clean your edges. I'd recommend it if you're going to be doing any of the welding. They give you these little strips. It doesn't work with that plastic. Don't know why, but any of your leftover cut from cutting out your piece works really good, melts really quick. Always keep your tool rests sandy so that when they're hot, you're not setting them directly on the workbench. You will catch your workbench on fire from experience. Always make sure that your tools are cool before you put them away, especially if they're in a plastic container. You will melt them. Again, from experience. Next thing for forming, a heat gun. They're awesome. Again, another 14 bucks, Harbor Freight. Great deal. The plastic welder, also from Harbor Freight. Now, for detailing your plastic in edges and getting into tight places, a lot of people I see are doing hand sanding. Don't. Dremel. They're awesome. Get a variable speed. Don't get the 1 speed. It's not going to do the trick because certain plastics require a slower speed. I keep this one at about 20, 30 when I'm working on bigger projects. It also depends on the bit you're using. I always keep a sanding bit on it. I end up sanding with this more often than not. I've used it to cut like 5 or 6 things. Have extras, you're going to go through them really quick. They run about 6 bucks for a pack of 5. Walmart, Harbor Freight, Home Depot. You can also get the plastic sheeting from Home Depot. Really good. Cheap. Most places have a Home Depot. Now, where was I? Another thing you can use for cutting is a small saw. Home Depot, Harbor Freight. I think this, got about this years ago. 10 bucks for the blade and the saw. Really great. Cuts through it very easy. real simple. Let me do a little bit here. Ooh, it's a lot more difficult when it's a small edge. But that quick, the hot knife is way faster. What was I doing? Oh, sanding. Sanding blocks. Best thing you can have. I always mark mine on the foam side, so I know what grit I'm using. 60 to tear it down, 150 to 100 to refine, 150 for a fine finish, and then there is